And that's what we had been doing. So our logo, if you look at our original logo for Vista Properties, it's 3 palm trees. Mm-hmm. And basically, the palm trees, I don't know if you guys know this, when the storm comes, they'll bend, but they won't break.
But they won't break. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then after the storm, they come back up. And more importantly, you have to have vision, right? Tienes que tener vista. And you got to look up. You got to give it to God. So that was our original logo, which we still have. And that's really what I'm trying to do. So my vision has never changed. It's just the timeline has. Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the People's Real Estate Podcast. Joining me today is my other co-host, Renee Guzman, we have a special guest, Tony Villeda. Tony, how are you? ¿Cómo estás?
It's me, Tony V. Twoop, twoop. Aquí alegre, súper nervioso, pero gracias por brindarme la oportunidad para estar aquí con ustedes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah. No, thank you, Tony. Thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you. We brought Tony on today. He is a broker owner of Vista Properties Group,
the number 1 minority-owned brokerage in the world.
Yes. Tell us about that. Tony, tell us about yourself, man. Introduce yourself. Who are you? What's your origin story? Tell us,
Every superhero has an origin story, you know what I mean? Yeah. We want to know yours, man.
I started last year, and I just came on the scene.
Hey, you're killing it, man, for 1 year.
Yeah, we're pretty pumped. No, a little bit about me. Yo estoy mezclado. So my mom's from Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And my dad's from Guatemala.
Okay.
I identify more with my mom's side. My sister identifies more with my dad. But
interesting.
As I'm getting older, I'm kind of like embracing my Guatemalan.
Okay. ¿Y has visitado Guatemala?
Claro que sí, tengo inversiones allá.
Okay.
Tenemos negocio allá también.
Okay, awesome, man.
I like Guatemala. Actually, I like it a lot more now because the exchange rate and just the lifestyle. As you get older, you kind of start kind of more family oriented, more kind of chill. Puerto Rico es un ambiente así de fiesta y fiesta. Entonces, mientras uno madura, pues, I like Guatemala, right? I love it now.
¿Y entre tú y tu hermana, tú sos el mayor? ¿Tú eres
Yo soy el mayor, ya. Somos 2. Y pues mi hermana siempre se ha identificado con Guatemala y yo con Puerto Rico.
Interesting, man.
So, daddy's girl, mama's boy.
That makes sense. Pero obvio, tu papá y tu mamá se encontraron acá.
Se juntaron acá en DC y pues nacimos nosotros y ellos nos acostumbraron a siempre ir un año a Puerto Rico, un año a Guatemala.
Okay.
So, cuando nosotros estábamos en Puerto Rico, yo estaba en mi ambiente, me encantaba, mi hermana se quería venir y cuando llegamos a Guatemala, en ese entonces, a mí no me gustaba.
Okay.
No me gustaba la comida, no me gustaba...
Really? Los chuchos.
Yeah, y tamar y todo. No, es diferente. Yeah. Ahora me gusta, pero... El ambiente de Guatemala. So, yeah.
Interesting. Pero Guatemala dice que está lindo, man.
I love it, bro.
Yeah.
I'm doing a lot over there. I mean, I'm attempting to do a lot over there. Actually, funny enough, we were talking with my wife para mudarnos a Guatemala.
Really? Okay.
Because the exchange rate is 7 to 1. Let's just make it real simple, right? 7 to 1. So for every $1,000, it's 7,000 quetzales.
Okay. So the money just goes longer over there.
Where else can you find that kind of
exchange?
Not many places,
right? Not even the stock market.
Well, that it's nice too, though.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
What I mean?
There's a lot of money. I don't think that the economy depends on, and you guys can Google this, but I don't think it depends on the United States like some other, Central American.
Yeah. Guatemala siempre ha sido así.
Yeah.
Bien independiente.
And it's got beautiful mountains. It's got like beaches. It's got everything. I mean, not compared to Puerto Rico, but it's got really nice things. And the people, I think, is what I'm really attracted to right now. Que son más humildes, más así como que
más calmado.
Más calmado.
Yeah.
Más calmado.
That's awesome, man.
But I love that. Ideally, I want to be 6 months over there. 6 months over here.
Okay.
Going back and forth. Where originally the plan was going to be Puerto Rico and here. But now that I'm getting older, I'm really like...
Okay. ¿Y tú y tu esposa tienen hijos?
Sí, tenemos 3 nenes.
3 nenes. ¿Y tu esposa de dónde es?
De Nicaragua.
De Nicaragua. So now your kids are having that dynamic.
They're all Puerto Rican.
Pero
yo no estoy creando Puerto Rican. Si tú le preguntas, dicen Puerto Rico.
But that's for right now, like you were. And
correct.
You see what I'm saying? But they have that dynamic, though. Yeah. That's awesome.
They're going to grow up and be like, I identify as a Nicaraguan more.
Yeah.
It's funny because el más pequeño, tiene 14 años, él sabe con quién está hablando y le dice. Si son de por allá, pues.
He adapts. Yeah. Se adapta.
Yeah. What are the ages?
I got 23.
Okay.
No, about to be 24 or 24, man.
What?
He's in the military. That's a whole story. Yeah. He just got married. He's in the military. He's actually coming back at the end of this month. And I have No, 14 and 13. I'm so sorry, baby girl.
Oh my goodness.
They were born on the same day, 1 year apart, which is crazy. And it's the same birthday as my sister.
What?
That's awesome, man.
But it's cool. I love, having the boys and everything. But
Ese mes sale caro, Tony.
Yeah, I was
Ese
gonna
mes
say.
sale caro, te digo.
¿Verdad que sí? ¿Verdad que sí? And it's always like September's hard, It's like, okay, yeah, the market starts to chill down.
Yeah.
I love it. I wish I had a little girl. So we have a little dog we recently got a couple years ago. That's my girl. But
I got you.
I hope I have a lot of granddaughters.
So wait, so it's 3 boys?
There's 3 boys, yeah.
Oh wow, okay.
You guys have any little ones?
Yeah. I got a 12-year-old boy and I have a 7-month-year-old girl right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Congrats,
7 months.
man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
Yeah. Oh no, not really, but having her is amazing. Obviously, it's a blessing. But hey, man, I just hit 40, and those late nights, it's tough right now.
It's hard right now, right?
Yeah.
You don't get
Well,
no
I was
sleep.
telling her the other day, a couple months ago or a year ago, I was like, "You want to go for the girl?" She said, "No."
Yeah.
It's hard to start again, and she had them back to back. So
Yeah.
Recuérdate que eso es bien difícil para ella.
Yeah, but in my opinion, in retrospect, así lo hubiera hecho, back to back. I should have done back to back, bro, porque
No fue a
dejamos
propósito,
12
pero
años, you know?
Diosito sabe lo que hace. So
Yeah,
no funcionó.
claro, Dios sabe lo
I
que
think
hace.
very few kids are planned. Like,
Yeah. And I think if you always if you're attempting to plan it, it's never the right moment.
yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
think everybody waits for like when I'm financially ready.
Eso
when
no
I'm,
va a pasar.
when we're-
Oh, you're never gonna feel like it's
never,
ready.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It never comes.
And how old's your baby girl?
I have a 7-year-old girl.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
cool.
Only
And
one.
that gives us the motivation of what we're doing.
Of course, brother.
Yeah.
Of course.
And
yeah.
more importantly, in the industry that we're at, where we're building that generational wealth, so they can
Yeah.
do that. We can do that.
Yeah, because my parents don't come from nothing, bro. And it's like, I have just like you, my parents had 4 boys, and except they kept trying until, I was supposed to be the girl.
The girl.
But they were like when they
you were
saw
born,
me,
they
they
gave
were
up.
like, yeah, they were like,
that's
"Nope,
it."
we're done. They were like,
O te vestían así de. O te vestían así de.
nah, bro, better mistake me.
We were Carlos was like, let me look up Tony, and and he was like, how old do you think he is? I'm like, I don't know, probably like early 40s or something. He was like, nah, he looks like he's 30 something. I'm like, nah, bro.
Oh, man.
There's
I was
no
like-
way he's 30.
I was like,
And then
he's
you
got to
just
be.
said-
He looks like he's in his late 30s. I was like, maybe early 40s. He was like, nah, bro.
No,
Yeah.
I'm 67. Thank you guys.
What? 67.
Grandpa Tony.
This is all painted, man. I have the highlights.
No, because you just said you had a 20,
23, yeah.
23
Yeah,
in the
that's it.
military, man.
Yeah.
So
Nah, man, you look great for your age,
Oh,
dog.
thank you.
Yeah.
I'm 44.
44, okay. That's all that whole is.
Nah. Está
I
viejito.
mean, nosotros, yo creo que esta generación de nosotros, no
Yeah.
la nueva, ¿verdad? Pero de nosotros, yo creo que nos miramos más joven, nos cuidamos, no sé,
Okay.
right? I feel like our generation doesn't look as old, or maybe to us we don't look as old, but to the new gen they can identify real quick like these guys are.
Dude,
Maybe
my-
you know what I'm saying? Maybe you get the young. I get spot on, Tony.
Oh, really?
I mean, maybe they say, hey, how old do you think I am? They go 39, 40. I'm like, ah, damn, bro.
They're like,
I can't even get 2 years, like
Yeah,
nothing. But hey, at least they're not saying 50 or something, though,
Yeah,
bro. You know what I mean?
I'm 27. When I have like conversations with my daughter, she's like, "You're old." I'm like,
Isn't that wild?
I'm like,
27 is young.
She humbled me. She humbled me because I obviously I know that I'm not like old, but it's like for her to be like,
Right.
she was like, "Daddy, you're old. Like, how can you try to relate to all these?" I'm like, "Girl, you tripping?" Like,
Nah, but think about it. When you were like 10 and you heard someone
Yeah.
was 27, you're like, man, that person's old.
yeah,
It's all relative.
That's what I'm saying. She humbled me. I was like, I never really thought about it that
You talk
way.
about humbling me. I was just telling the story in the office yesterday with my, I got a lot of little cousins, right? Like, 17, 16. Y el otro día me dice, I don't know qué estábamos hablando. Y me dice, nah, bro, you were born in the 1900s. Me dice.
This is true.
Hey, Tony, but that hurts
when they
so
say,
hard.
when they say
That
like,
hits so
whoa,
hard,
whoa,
bro.
they're like, oh yeah, you're right.
That hits so hard, man. Hey, but we derailed, man. So a little bit about the origin story, man.
Yeah, so came with that. I got to experience 2 cultures. Very early on, I saw how my parents really se estaban esforzando to work. Both of my parents, like, they gave us everything, like in reference to the American dream. Like they always were homeowners. They were always like working a lot, and so I was always opening businesses. When I knew from an early age, like I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I didn't want to like depend on anybody else. So I did so many different businesses, and they were all fails. You know what I mean? But at the time, there wasn't social media, so you didn't know that like that was an okay thing.
Yeah.
So it kind of like it sets you back and it gives you that doubt. So the next time you're even more fearful until my cousin's husband was a mortgage loan officer, and he needed some help, and he reached out to me. At the time, I had a good job for my age. You know what I mean? I didn't go to college per se, so I was like just working. I had baby young, so I was kind of making my stuff the way that I could. So I was working 2 jobs based off of what I saw from my parents.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, that's what I got to do. He kept on, and then I started off as a loan officer assistant.
Okay.
And, did that. I did not like it. I could tell you.
So you started on the lending side.
I started on the lending side, just clearing conditions and talking to people. But I realized cuando yo me juntaba con los clientes, like, that's where I thrived. And I was like, oh, okay, cool.
You were a people's person.
Then I became a loan officer. But again, I wasn't like, that wasn't my thing.
What were you doing before that, though, Tony, if you don't mind me asking? Like, was it sales?
No. I was a print operator. So my dad was an electronic engineer.
Okay.
So he came over here, and he worked his way up in Xerox, and he got like all this clearance and stuff. And my mom was an electronic technician.
Wow.
Because back then, that was like...
That was the future.
That was the future.
Yeah.
So when I got, my little one coming, my dad said, hey, I'm going to get you a job so that you can start supporting your family. So I was just a printer operator. So I would just put the paper in, take the paper out, and it was a pretty chill job. And then I did it for another company. And everywhere I went, I just was able to excel. Like, I just kept on moving up. And that story is really interesting, but I'm not going to get into it. But long story short, I was able to move up and with no education. And I was making much more than all my friends because they were in college and, living off ramen noodles. And I was buying a house. And I was like, dang,
you were grinding already.
Yeah. So cuando pasó 9/11, I lost the account. I became an account analyst at the time. I was on the verge of becoming a database developer.
Okay.
And 9/11 happened, so we lost the account, so I got laid off. But I got some money as part of the package, and I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna go start a business. So I started a windshield business.
Okay.
And it went really well, and it was doing good because we were always involved in cars. Okay. My uncles and everything always had dealerships and stuff like that, so I was always involved in that thing. So I did that. It turned out really okay. But I didn't like the labor part of it. You know what I mean? Where I was like, I wanted to be more kind of office. And then my cousin, he's in the industry right now. His name's Ricardo Cardenas. Shout out. He really encouraged me to start doing this. And then we went in there. And then when I realized that there was another avenue of becoming like a realtor, I got my license. And at the time, you could be a loan officer and a realtor at the same time. So I was doing that, but I never really did any clients, simultaneously. Okay. And then I just switched over to real estate. Yeah, I was like, nah, man, this is it.
Yeah, I hear you.
It also looked a lot simpler than what it was.
Okay.
Because I was always interacting with agents, and I'm like, bro, these guys have the life, and I'm here like doing all them. But I was very mistaken.
It's funny how that is, right? And especially
the grass always looks greener.
Yeah, but especially now, Tony, because the real estate, I guess, profession is glamorized with the shows like $1 Million Agent.
I hate that. Yeah, you're right. Because now when I'm onboarding new agents or I'm interviewing agents, that's the challenge, is because they have this unrealistic expectation. And yet that can happen. Not to say that it can't. And our industry is very lucrative, but you gotta have to work that way, right? So I always tell them, like, I feel like they want to get to the top of the mountain, but they don't see the mountain that's in front of them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody just wants to be on top.
Everybody's just a boss now.
Yeah.
Everybody's a boss.
And it's very promoted within the culture.
It's part of the society now.
Yeah, you can do it. You can do it, but there's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you can't, but you have to put that work.
All these reality shows glamorize, like, being a real estate agent, and they sell people this lifestyle that are on the outside, and then when they get in the inside, they're like,
well,
nothing like.
Carlitos, you watch the show. They pull it up. They drive, in their Mercedes to it. They open it up. The person goes, "Yeah, I love it," and then they go, $68,000 commission. You know what I mean? So it looks easy.
Yeah.
You know what
they don't show.
I mean, they wrap it up, maybe 4 months, 5 months of work into less than 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Or maybe even 15 because the show's an hour.
Yeah.
But the reality is that it does take a lot, and not to say that you can't do it.
Yeah.
You put yourself to it, like, you know what I mean? So everybody that I onboard, again, we're digressing, but everybody that I interview and I bring on, I want them to have that service kind of mentality and giving back to our community, not the paycheck. And if I feel as though maybe they're looking for that kind of glamour or like that status or basically that perception that they're like big time and everything, I kind of refer them to other places that would be better suited for them, because for me, that's not what we're looking for. Not and I'll get into what my vision is with Vista and what we're trying to do, but we want to really help our minority communities become homeowners.
Yeah, brother. That's why you're here. That's what I said. I mean, like I was telling Carlos, because he was like, tell me about Tony. I was like, look, I've never personally met Tony.
We've talked a lot.
We've talked, I told him, we try to get deals done. It hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, he was telling me.
But I'm like, but he's cool. Like, he has the same philosophy kind of like, we have. It's just like service based.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I was like, that's why I invited, you,
I appreciate
minority owner. Not a lot of those in the area. We work at a place where it's a minority owner.
Yeah, I know Mr. Matt. I was talking to him yesterday.
Yeah. So, Matt, you know what I mean? A couple other brokers. It's not a lot of you guys.
No.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I mean, especially when you get into like the big players, nationally, no son todo blanquito.
Yeah.
Let's just be real.
It's
right?
la verdad.
Just be
You
real.
know what I mean?
true.
Yeah.
And so their outlook is a little different than ours, right? And and nothing against it,
Nah.
but I think there's a space for everybody. And I think that what I'm attempting to do is really to educate our community, because I think that's la cosa más fuerte que they. And I talked about this in another podcast too. They will take your cousins, your uncle, people who don't even have houses, word more than yours, and you've been doing this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and you're in it day to day, and it's like, so there's no validity to what they're saying, but you're gonna believe what they're saying versus, you know what I mean? So that's the education part where I think we have to. And I tell all my agents, it's like we got to educate them softly, because we don't want them to interpret it as though we're trying to make a sale. 'Cause it's not.
Yeah.
Right? We want to let them know, like, this is the reason why this house doesn't work, or this is the reason why we're not winning the offer based off the current market scenario. And it keeps on changing. You know? It keeps on changing. But then I switched over to real estate. Did phenomenal. I was like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be.
So you were a solo, like at first you started as a solo agent. Obviously,
Yeah, so
right?
I signed up for.
Or did you join a team?
No, I was at Fairfax Realty.
Okay.
Because it was 100%.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
But I didn't really have enough business. At the time, I was also doing mortgages, so I moved over to a good friend of mine, Danny Register. Doot, doot. Shout out my dude.
Yeah, register.
He's now an agent as well. But we started doing a lot of volume. It was the time when, stated income was there and all that stuff. So we were doing really well. But again, I always realized that I was very on the other side. Like,
you were drawn to the people.
The people and the interaction and the
Experience,
experience, explanation of what you're signing, what you're doing. And I noticed that a lot of the agents were lacking in educating the clients, because we were minority owned. Not minority owned, but like the majority of our business is minority.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Same here.
And so I wanted to make sure that they understood what they were doing. We never participated in any of those kind of predatory kind of loans that were out there. And I lost clients like that, but I was like, look, this is a negative optimization, meaning you're making your monthly minimum payment, but you're going negative on what you owe. And at the time, because at the end of, right when it exploded, that was what was popular. So I didn't want to participate. I was like, no, I don't really.
Yeah,
I went other places.
I wasn't around for that, but just the other day, it's funny because I was watching The Big Short.
Oh yeah,
you seen that movie, right?
I lived that.
I lived that
life.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So in the movie, the guys go, because they don't believe this, right? So they go down and talk to some mortgage brokers, and then the mortgage brokers, he was like, yeah, one specializes in strippers, and the other guy was like immigrants.
Yeah,
I do immigrants because they don't know what the hell they're signing. You know what I mean? And I'm like, well, yeah, and I'm like, man, that's crazy to me because even today in nuestra comunidad, like mucha de nuestra gente, la verdad no puede leer todo eso,
Yeah.
So mucha de nuestra gente es a pura confianza, man. You know what I mean? A pura confianza que, that you're going to take care of them and stuff. So I see that, we have the same philosophy too. Like that's, qué bueno que confíe en mí, right? Pero no, like, the way it should be, tiene que entender lo que está firmando.
Hay que explicarte, mira,
claro.
lo que tú estás firmando es esto y esto y esto. And that's what we try to do. And that's what we've been doing. But it's really unfortunate that happened. But I lived that life.
That's wild.
And I was saying the same thing. I was like, no, espérate, esto no puede ser. We go to Walmart and be like, ¿Quiere comprar casa? Okay. ¿Tienes social? No. Oh, okay. You have a pulse?
Tienes pulso.
You're good, bro. You got it. And they would get in like, okay, what do you do? Like, oh, yo cuido nene. No, you're a specialist, this and that.
Yeah, man. That's wild times, man.
It was crazy. So the market crashed. It was, we went from having a really nice lifestyle, as like in the movie. And then we went to, well, how do we do this? How do we make it happen? And then short sales came about, right? And the banks didn't understand what short sales was, right? They didn't understand. There was a whole bunch of foreclosures. So we pivoted and we started doing short sales. And that was like what got us through for a couple years. Then I met my ex-partner and we were like, let's do this. Let's make it big. So the original thing that transpired was we just wanted a nicer office. So we went to the broker at the time. We were at a Remax. And we were doing well. We were doing some.
So you went from Fairfax to Remax?
Yeah, I went to Fairfax to Remax.
Okay.
And then the intent was to get a nice office, but the broker was like, "No, I'm not going to invest in it." I was like, "All right." I looked at the numbers and I say, "Guys, we can actually do this on our own. There's no real reason for us to even be affiliated anymore. There's no value that we're getting, right? And clearly, they don't see the vision." So we opened up our Remax franchise, and we were number 1 in the Mid-Atlantic. Number 9 in the country for multiple years. We were always
Impressive, bro.
it was, and that's my fault. I built a team, and we started doing kind of like, at the time it was very, very new, where you would have showing agents, people who would just kind of go show,
Like Redfin does nowadays.
kind of like Redfin, yeah. So we were doing that because we had so many clients that were wanting to go see properties, and we weren't enough.
Yeah.
And it just organically grew like that, and we became really big. And then I kind of lost myself a little bit, and it was just about the numbers. Next. All right, come on, let's go. And about 5 years ago, I'm always been in the same vision where I want to make micro offices in different markets to service our community, and not be like the biggest brokerage, but in reference to being the biggest impact in whatever community that we're at. So, specific communities. And we were getting ready to do that. And unfortunately, we parted ways. We didn't have the same vision anymore. So I had to go backwards again. And that's where I created Vista Properties, because I came back to what I was originally wanting to do, which was help our community. And I went back out there, started selling again, and realized that the market had definitely changed from what I was teaching originally. And that's what we had been doing. So our logo, if you look at our original logo for Vista Properties, it's 3 palm trees. And basically, the palm trees, I don't know if you guys know this, when the storm comes, they'll bend, but they won't break.
They won't break. Yeah, that makes sense.
And then after the storm, they come back up.
Senderes.
And more importantly, you have to have vision, right? Tienes que tener vista. And you got to look up. You got to give it to God. So that was our original logo, which we still have. And that's really what I'm trying to do. So my vision has never changed. It's just the timeline has.
Yeah.
So I went backwards. I consider ourselves a startup because I'm going to be honest with you. For a little while, I was very bitter and really upset. And I'm like, why did I have to go back if I was already here and now I have to start over? But the reality is that I realized that I need the right people around me that share that vision so that we can, when we get there,
It all comes back to people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does, man.
Yeah, man.
So that's kind of, in a nutshell, I mean, it's more in depth than that, but
Yeah. Oh, that's dope though. That's
awesome.
and that's what I'm trying to do. Again, last year I interviewed 48 people and we onboarded 7.
Wow. Okay, so you're really selective about who
Really
comes on
selective.
board with you.
But even when everybody interviews well, you don't know until they start going through, and they don't know either, right? So, like we were talking about earlier, they may have the intent of wanting to do this, but then they don't realize what it takes on a day to day, and it's not as glamorous as what it can be in the future. But the reality is that it takes some time. So that's why I'm looking for those right people. But you won't know until we kind of start off. Right now, I'm gonna be real honest with you. The last 3 months, 4 months, I've been just training these new agents, and it's very time consuming. It's very draining, and it doesn't always transpire.
Okay.
Our time is our most valuable commodity,
That's
right?
it.
Yeah.
And so I have to put that time in there to make sure that they're the ones that are going to be the branch managers at the next things. And unfortunately, not everyone pans out. They may feel it, or I may feel like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Depending on their fruits, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's what it is.
What are some of those traits or qualities that you look for in people that kind of tell you like, okay, this guy would be a good prospect?
I think it's your expression, the way that you communicate and the way that you express yourself. Like with all these interviews, I really quickly understand if they're just trying to get the job because they want to learn how to do it and then move on to the next higher split and the higher split. Or if they come in automatically talking about splits, then I already know we're not in line, because this is what I tell them. Like, how much time it costs? Like, let's say we put a value on my time. I'm not getting that back. No matter if you do 5 deals, you get what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like, or 10 deals. It's got to be a long thing, like 3 years, 4 years before I can start seeing what I invested to come back. But when they're already off the bat, like, what's your split? Then I already know that it's not the right fit. I'm looking for service-minded people and people who really do want to help this and make this their career.
Yeah.
There's a lot of folks that are kind of in a crossroads and they're confused and they want to change their lifestyle and they see this as like an easy way to potentially do it by all those shows.
Yeah.
And some do like it. Some will convert over and be like, okay, I get what we're doing actually. This is like their largest purchase. I want to be part of that because there's nothing else that you can say except for like Bitcoin and stuff like that. I don't know about stuff like but there's nothing else that you can really do that's going to change someo's wealth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you think about it, right?
Yeah.
If you're selling cars, like, because I have a car dealership and a body shop, but that's a depreciation. Like that's a liability. That's not something that's going to give you. There are some cars if you get into the luxury space.
Of course, yeah.
Again, not an everyday person is going to do that. But this is something that when you do it, it's so rewarding if you do it correctly, right? Again, if you're doing it for the paycheck and you're just making them buy a house, even if they just buy a house, they're still going to win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nobody is like, you never bought a house and then it went down to $43,000.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And look at some of the houses that were around here.
Yeah.
Look at originally how much they were sold for.
Yeah.
But they're never going to go back down.
Yeah.
So you have to ride the waves, but it's always a good investment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. Home ownership, man.
Yeah.
And that for us to be participant in that and kind of like advocate and help, I think that's pretty big.
Yeah, yeah. Like I always tell the story where like, you know, I saw like why I'm attracted to real estate and helping la comunidad es porque yo lo vi. Like I lived it. I lived it where mis padres, you know, fleeing the war from El Salvador, se vinieron para acá y vivíamos, you know, 20, 15 en un apartamento, pero cada persona salió a comprar su casita. Yeah. ¿Me entiendes? O bueno, la idea fue comprar una y de allí salieron todos, ¿me entiendes? Uno. Ahora now, I don't think I have any family members that don't own a home.
That's
you know
beautiful,
what I mean?
man.
So I saw how owning a home through my years, I'm 40 years old now, I saw how, you know, a home that they bought 25 years ago, 20 years ago, now is sending kids to college or starting a business or paying off debt or retirement or whatever it is. Y eso, yo creo que eso es lo importante en nuestra comunidad, que no es solo de donde uno va a dormirme, es una inversión y hay que entender eso, ¿me entienden?
Otra cosa es que te tienes que alinear con una persona que sabe y que tiene como tu mejor intención a su favor, right? Because there's a lot of people that are licensed. I mean, I'm glad the way that the market has shifted, that we're actually kind of seeing a lot of exited of a lot of people, which is great. I was waiting for it. I didn't realize it was going to affect me.
He said it's great.
No, I was like, yeah,
no,
I can't
understand
wait.
what you're saying.
I can't wait. All these, let's get them out.
Yeah.
And then the market shifted, and I was like, whoa, that's affecting me too. I didn't think about that.
I hear you.
The reality is that, you know, if you align yourself with the right person that has like a really your interest at heart, then you're gonna do well. But even if you don't, you still will do well if you're buying real estate.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
You should come out on top.
Think about everybody that you've interacted with, because I have a lot of examples of that. And for one reason or another, they don't make a move, and they're not in the better possession. Think about the people who just
Es cierto, eso es muy cierto.
se han medido y lo han hecho, and look, they have something. They have equity. They have like capital. They have wealth. Like it's different.
Yeah.
And they're doing esto yo le digo a todos nosotros, el deber de pagar mensualidad lo tiene que hacer. Aunque estás rentando o eres el dueño, you got to do it.
Yeah.
But you have much more benefits when it's for you than it's when you're renting for
we tell people, I'm like, look, regardless, you're paying somebody's mortgage. It's like, but whose mortgage are you paying? Do you want to pay somebody else's mortgage or do you want to pay your mortgage and reap all the benefits that come with owning something that's going to be yours? You know, because we are same thing at our brokerage. Our broker Matt is heavy on, you know, educating people and the community, because we realize that there's a lack. Hay falta de información en nuestra comunidad. No hay suficiente gente que everybody conoce un realtor, pero no todo realtor trabaja lo mismo. No lo informa al cliente lo mismo. Solo si es un realtor que solo está viendo el dinero que él va a conseguir de la transacción, es muy diferente que a alguien como nosotros que vamos a informar a la persona y decirle lo que y explicarle lo que va a firmar. That's the difference between, like, you know,
I agree.
A good realtor and a realtor that's just after the commission.
I'm going to take it a step further, right? Because one of the things that I'm really trying to improve on, but we're doing good, but is consistency. Okay, si una persona está interesada en comprar, quizás tienen el deseo. No significa que solo porque tienen el deseo, en ese momento lo pueden hacer. So hay que darle, okay, mira, este es el plan de acción y seguir seguir llamándole, okay, ¿cómo está con esto? ¿Cómo está con lo otro? Because sometimes it takes 3 years.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes, a month.
That's what I try to tell these guys, man.
But the reality is that most people are accustomed like, no va a funcionar next.
Yeah.
I'm really concentrating on those folks and keeping that consistency. It's like, okay, you said you wanted to do this. This is the best thing for you.
Yeah.
Where are you with it? You'll find out right away si están en serio porque le da la tarea el prestamista y ellos te llaman a ti antes que tú le llames a ellos. Pero no digo que no vamos a seguir, no vamos a parar ya a llamar a la gente que nos estamos diciendo, mira, tiene que ser esto, tiene que ser lo otro.
Yeah.
Because they kind of need that push and that encouragement, and eventually they will transpire.
Yeah.
Now, the worst thing is when you do all the homework and then they just go with the cousin or something.
Oh,
they
yeah,
go with somewhere else. I'm like, bro, what
Yeah.
are you doing? Like,
I think we've
and
all
then they
had
call
that
you back and it's like
To ask questions.
Yeah, to ask questions. I'm like, no, papito, tienes que hablar con ellos.
Yeah, that's what I tell people.
But I still help them. I say that to my agents, but I still do. I'm like, no. Oh, that's wrong. No, espérate, you guys should have put this. This is what you need to do. I still help them because I really do want them to have a home. So even sometimes when I see them, they send me a picture like, mira, gracias, don Tony. All right, congratulations. Great for you. Next one, let's do it. I want to touch on something else too. Everybody that I talk to, I say, look, this is your stepping stone. This is the first one. Que vamos a comenzar.
There you go.
But then we may put this as a rental, or we need to start your rental portfolio. So majority of my clients, we call them legacy clients, when they come back is because they're listening to us and now they're doing it. I started with our agents. So all my agents have their primary residence and have at least one investment property.
Nice.
Some of them have more than that, and some of them have commercial properties and stuff like that. Because we can't say that we're doing something but not do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
And so I'm really big on that. There's only like the newer agents, obviously some of them don't have houses yet, but we're working towards that so they can confidently say to the consumer, like, look, this is what's happened to me. Let me show you my rent roll. This is what's actually happening. This is real.
Yeah.
It's not just a theory or not just like a selling point.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. It's like a salesman that doesn't, consume his own product. They sell it. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Let me ask you something. ¿Tú has encontrado, Tony, que it's getting younger, the industry? Like, con la gente que
For
está
sure, yeah,
entrevistando?
como cualquier cosa. Everybody, there's new workforce coming in. Now, I don't want to get too into that because
Now get into it, man. That's the whole point.
dude, I that's my biggest struggle right now because a lot of the agents that I like to bring on, because I want them to be kind of fresh, unless they have that service mentality. Because I feel like when you train them up and you train them up correctly, there's no those bad habits. The problem is this new gen. My kids are a part of it too, but I don't think they want to work, bro. Like it's weird.
Dude, I saw an article about this the other day. They were talking about like that Gen Z they don't want to work because they much rather start a podcast. They much rather become a business owner or start, but they don't want to be stuck. They're like they had a realization that this girl gave an example. She's like, I go to work from 9 to 5, 9 to 7, and then where does that leave me time to for myself to go to the gym, to go go have fun?
It's called grinding.
Exactly. And then the millennial and the person I was talking about was like, yo, we had to do that. It's called being a hard worker,
grinding, man.
Yeah, it's called grinding, and it's true. This new generation, they just don't want to work as much as we're used to, and the older generation.
I can't fault them, man. They have a 24/7 dopamine machine that that tells them, oh, you can do this, you can do that. So I didn't grow up with that. Yeah. So, I can't blame these kids, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Listen, I'm all about social media. I think these platforms are phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
And everybody lives there.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Same.
My parents are on there.
Todo el mundo.
Viejito, joven, todos están ahí.
Yeah.
So we have to capitalize on it so that we can give good content so that, we can get the right results. But I think hay algo mal en eso because you present what you want to present and everyone's successful. Everyone's an
the highlights. It's only the highlights.
The highlights.
Yeah.
And that's not real life. I try to be as real as possible. And the reality is this. When I talk to a lot of these younger folks, they all want to be entrepreneurs. They all want to be their own boss, right? And I said, okay. But the reality is any successful business needs to scale. Okay. So think about this. Whatever you're doing, you're selling ice creams. When that ice cream thing is ready for you to hire somebody, what are you going to do? Because everyone wants to be the owner. Everybody wants to do it. So you're not going to be able to scale. So no matter what you're doing, I tell this generation, I'm like, you this system that we have, you kind of need it. You need workforce to help you out. Yeah. Not saying that you're not going to compensate them. I'm not saying that it's going to be forever. But if everybody wants to be the owner, there's going to be a whole bunch of micro businesses and nobody's going to succeed. Like no one's going to be able to scale. Let's say you're doing an amazing product. I don't know what it is.
Sure.
You're, I don't know, selling gift boxes or something like that. At some point, you're going to need somebody to help fulfill that.
Yeah.
But if everybody in your generation is like, nah, I'm going to do my own thing, or I'm going to do that same thing.
Yeah, I'm going to do my own thing.
How are you guys going to scale? Like, I don't understand. I tell them
that's true. I didn't think about it like that.
And I tell them all the time, like, listen, you're going to come in right now and it's the ground level. Our industry is the only industry that promotes like high paying with no knowledge. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
This is, and I'm sorry, I don't want to hate on you guys, but this is the reality. So I've had a couple of different interviews of people because I was trying to do social media. I think that's something that I really need to invest in. I don't know how to do it.
Okay.
I'm doing it así a lo loco,
Yeah.
but the ideas that I want to do are not coming out the way that I want because I don't have that talent and I don't have the time to kind of invest in that talent. It's like a full-time thing.
Yeah.
So I was trying to hire a couple of folks. They have to be young. They have to know, and I look at what they're doing. I'm like, all right, cool. So I talk to them, and then they're all about it. Like, yeah, let's do it. And now, all right, let's do it. So I make them an offer, and they're like, you know what? Yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to travel for a little bit, so I'm not going to. You just told me you didn't have money. You live with your parents. What are you going to, how are you traveling? And this is a job. Like, no, I don't feel like I want to be tied to anything right now.
Yeah. Interesting.
I was like, I don't know how they're going to do it, man. I really don't know. But that is what it is. And TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff kind of promotes it because you get paid just to put yourself out.
Yeah, everybody wants to be a content creator now. Yeah. I mean, and I don't blame them because
I'm with it too.
There's a lot of money to be made in on the internet, but it feels like everybody's chasing that instead of, wanting to be, these traditional roles like a police officer, a nurse, a doctor, because we're always going to need those people. But
the medical field is in dire need. I mean, police as well. They're like in dire need.
Yeah.
People are not wanting to.
Yeah.
Even the military is like, no one wants to join.
Yeah, now they're like, vengan todo.
What's going to happen when TikTok is banned, though? We'll get some workers back.
Hey, man.
That's wild, though. By the way, that's wild because that sounds like Facebook trying to get their competitor out of the water. But
dude, not even
kinds of stuff. We can
not
get
even
that.
Facebook. It's Amazon. Think
or
about
any
it.
of those, yeah.
Because Amazon, TikTok came up with a TikTok shop
in the market. Yeah,
you can with 2 taps you can order. You can have the thing being shipped to you. Yeah. And there's people literally live streaming on TikTok 24/7.
I don't know.
Showcasing.
I just got it recently.
Yeah.
I did not want to do it,
Dude.
But I went to I talked to a couple of people.
You're gonna be addicted.
I just started. I don't like. I got a lot of views there, so I was like, "Is this real?"
Yeah.
Because I don't get those views over there. I was like,
it's because their algorithm is crazy, bro. Their algorithm is just it's just fire. No, so I was gonna tell you, it's funny you say that because I mean, it's super cool when someone, like, I was looking at a product. It was one of these things to put a phone on or whatever. And then a guy just came on my feed and he was like, it was the same thing I was looking on, I think on Amazon.
Yeah.
And he's like, look, this is how you use it. But I was like, motherfucker. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, all right, I got to do it now.
You ordered it? That's funny.
Well, he showed it to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Amazon didn't show it to me. They showed me a still photo. This guy gave me a whole review and giving me like real world use. You know what I mean? Wow. So he closed me. He convinced me.
Like I'm telling you, there's people.
I can see that.
There's whole live streams just dedicated to people just showcasing a product, and they make it so easy that at the bottom of the screen it just says "Buy now."
Why don't we do that for houses? I gotta look into that.
Hey,
mira, está casita. I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's where it's going to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like me personally.
I mean, we want to get real crazy where we can go into AI and all that stuff.
Oh man, we're game for all of that, bro. Me and him have off podcasts. We have conversations about all of those things.
But let me tell you something. Going back to like this generation and trying to I'm trying to scale. So in order to do that, I need folks, right? Mm-hmm. So our industry again is like the only industry that promotes this type of behavior. So interviewed somebody and I gave them this example because their whole thing was split. How much did I split? Okay. Mm-hmm. So I said, let me ask you a question. I was about to get on TikTok. I said, you on TikTok? Oh, really? Oh, okay. How many followers? Oh, great. Yeah, I'm thinking about getting on there. Quick question. I'm going to reach out to the headquarters and I'm going to ask them if they can pay me $400,000 to work for them. But then I want them to train me on how to do everything because I don't know anything about TikTok. I want them to show me how to be successful, how to grow my followers and everything. And once I learn, then I want to renegotiate my salary again, maybe like $1 million. what's the number to TikTok so I can call him? And she starts laughing. The girl starts laughing. I'm like, why are you laughing? It's like, who's going to do that? I'm like, well, that's what you just asked me to do. You wanted me to give you the high split, train you on how to do it. And then when you feel somewhat confident at what you're doing, I know you're going to come back and try to negotiate even a higher split, or you're going to leave. Face red. But that's the same mentality. I'm like, what? You guys are not okay, you got license. I know it's somewhat semi-hard, but first of all, we don't, and I'll be real honest, we don't really utilize any of that stuff. That's just a requirement just to get, your license. The real training begins on that day-to-day and what your market that you're working and what the demographic that you're working. That's very intensive, and it's going to change. I mean, I've been doing this for 20-some years, and it changes every day, you know what I mean? And every scenario is different. So I'm like, I feel like they all want the high split, and then you train them, and then they want to renegotiate or they go somewhere else. It makes no sense.
High split on what, Tony? When you start out, there's no business.
I tell them that 100% of nothing is nothing. But there's other brokerages that are in a traditional brokerage. For most of you guys that don't know, is recruit, and collect fees.
Yep.
They don't really care about your success. They just want the money, and they understand that they have to continuously recruit because your trajectory in that space is going to be very small. So they know, keep on recruiting, collect as many fees as you can.
It's a revolving door. Because
and maybe they'll close a deal or so. And if they do, great, we'll get a...
That's just the bonus if they close deals.
There are a lot of places are revolving doors because of that. So only they don't really focus on, training and growing the agents. You know what I mean? It's more about, hey, if I have, 100, 200, 300, then, with the fees, we'll keep the lights on or whatever.
Correct.
You know what I mean? So.
And that's not what we try to do at Vista at all. I think Matt's the same way. Like he's very, very invested in his agents. Yeah. The reality, what I try to tell all these folks, like I'm taking the time to do this. It may work and it may not, but I don't get anything back. You know what I mean? So we can't give you that high split on something you don't know what you're doing, if that makes sense. But as you do it, then we can have that conversation.
How it's supposed to be.
How it's supposed to be. You any job. I say go to any job. Yeah. It doesn't even matter if it's like Chipotle or whatever.
Yeah, fast food.
You're not going to go in there like, okay, how much is the manager? I want more than that. I want you to show me how to do it. And then when I start kind of knowing, I want to renegotiate it.
Yeah, that's tough.
The sad thing is that there's all these brokerages trying to collect the fees. So there's always one that they'll go to, another one they'll go to. That's another thing that I get very worried when I see somebody who has like a very extensive resume of multiple brokerages. So they don't have a business model, and a lot of agents don't. They don't even understand what that means. So they're licensed, they have the ability to do the function, and they're thinking by going to a different brokerage and getting a higher split, somehow their business is going to transform. You may make a little bit more money per transaction, but if you don't have a business model or if you don't have something in place, nothing's going to change. You're going to do the same amount of transactions. You have to really put something in place that's actionable to get there. But you have to do something, right? Yeah. And you have to have a mentor or a broker that's like willing to tell you like, no, this is how we're going to be able to get there for what you're attempting to do. Yeah. But a lot of them are just blind. And then you talk to them, you swear they're like $1 million.
Oh, of course. Everybody is.
La forma que se expresan. And I'm just like, oh, wow. And I look them up. I look at their social media. I'm like, yo, comments, crazy. I'm like, I get impressed. I'm like, damn.
But then you go to Bright.
Like 2 rentals. What are you talking about, like, dude? Whose house were you showing? Yeah. You know what I mean?
No, I hear you, Tony. Yeah, man. I mean, there's all kinds.
And I'm not trying to do this as hate.
It's not hate,
but
man. It's
like the reality is, like, I wish that we would talk about it more.
Yeah,
so that people get educated. I want to really get involved in those classes when you first get licensed and you have to go to like association stuff. I would love to get involved. They think I'm too real, so they don't want to do it. But we're working some stuff because I want to be like, no, it's not like you think.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's where I think like you would social media, you having your own platform you would thrive from that because you will have nobody telling you how to what to say.
I just gotta do it. Eso es lo que el problema del tiempo.
Yeah. ¿Y qué tú crees, Tony? Because I'm kind of the same. Like I know that it's important. Yo sé que ahí vive todo el mundo, right? Pero I don't know, man. Like para mí it's just like. Nunca ha sido como parte de mi vida, you know what I mean? And I'm kind of private person too by nature, you know what I mean? So, no sé, I mean, I guess that's the excuse I use, like, oh, I didn't grow up with it or whatever. Yeah. But I feel like to other people it just comes easier, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's definitely, generation. I personally don't like to be like what we're doing right now. I don't like to be exposed. I like to be the guy in the background.
Yeah.
But 5 years ago, when everything transpired with my partners and stuff, I realized I had to do it for self-defense because I was doing everything. I created everything. I was running the back end. But from a consumer standpoint, they didn't know.
They didn't know who you were.
You weren't getting the credit.
If you knew me, you knew me. Like people in
Yeah.
the industry, people like they knew
Yeah.
Tony V. But like from a consumer standpoint, because what I did was I marketed to people, and that was the face that was out there, and that's what they believed. You know what I mean? And it was a whole team that was actually doing these numbers. We can't be number one. You can't be number 9 or the number 1 minority-owned brokerage by myself. I cannot do that.
Yeah.
I need the right folks. And I don't personally like to be out there, but I realize that now things have switched up where if you're not that person out there, then they don't know that it's real.
Yeah.
It's perception.
It's perception. That's what it is.
Because perception becomes people's reality. And it's not true, but it is.
Yeah.
Right?
No, that's facts, man. Bars.
Yeah.
Bars. Like,
Boy.
No, I mean, and that's
Can I drop this? No.
that's how people treat social media, right? That's how they make it. That's how they make their platforms grow. You know, because perception, right? Like you said, I've run across plenty. Sticking to social to real estate, I've run across plenty of realtors that have like 100K followers. You know, millions of views on their things, but when I go to check their stats, it's not there. But on social media, they're crushing it.
And it depends on everybody's what they want, right? Their ultimate goal, right? Because for some people, that is enough. That's a payment enough.
Yeah.
They're not really trying to help families. They just want to look good socially.
Yeah.
And that makes them, fulfilled, which is great. I'm not hating on that. That's fine.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm like, when I look at that, I said, so what's your actual intent? Are you just trying to be like somewhat famous, or get that notoriety? Because income-wise, if we're talking about it like from a career standpoint, you close 2 deals or 4 deals, which is as an average, that's fine. From my understanding, you can't live off of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you probably have some kind of a split or something. So is the social aspect more important for you and your validation than actually helping families and, making this as a career so that you can pay your bills and invest in different things? And people are different. So I realized like a lot of folks really don't care about the money as long as it looks as though they're making money, which is very bizarre.
Well,
but that could be a generational thing. No, say.
Yeah. And one thing that I will say that it can, having a social media presence, the opportunities it opens up to like networks, right? Because when people see that, you could go and like get into these network groups or be around this certain type of people just based off how you come across online.
Correct.
They reach out. You have brands reach out to you. You have people like and
maybe that's the goal for them. Right?
That's what I'm saying. I think that if that's your intent, right, and one of your goals of being big on social media, then that's great. But as long as you still still keep that nature of wanting to do right by people.
Here's what I like to tell to people. I try to be authentic. I try to be real. Right?
Yeah.
And sometimes like my parents and a lot of folks that know me, they're like, you're too real. And it's true. Maybe I am because I just want things to transpire. I don't want to pretend to do something that I'm not. And I get very like taken back. I'm like, oh man, dude, why did that's not real. But you sometimes have to. With these folks, if that's your intent, just be honest, because then maybe we can utilize that. You know what I mean? Like I've been talking to yesterday. I had a meeting with some folks because I'm trying to hire on a social media company or at least somebody who's a little bit more knowledgeable and are going to be able to dedicate the time. And at one point, we were thinking about, because I don't want to be that guy, right? So we were thinking about just getting somebody as an actor. I mean, they're doing it anyways. Like most of these people are basically actors, right? But then I was struggling with that because I'm like, nah, because then I feel like we're doing like what everyone else is doing and we're not being real.
Where does that leave your brand though? Because in real estate,
because I was thinking about just making a Vista guy and
a Vista guy, like an avatar,
like no, not avatar, like a real person,
a real actor,
an actor que está diciendo todo lo que yo quiero que diga,
okay,
pero que se siente cómodo haciéndolo.
Pero por qué? I mean, you're good, bro.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't get it, bro.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, okay,
like, Tony,
I'm very humble
look,
right now.
You look great on camera.
Yeah,
like,
bro.
You,
No. Listen. I'm super humble. What you guys are saying. 3 meetings within the last year, and then one yesterday. Oh no, the one a couple days ago. They're all like, "You're the one that needs to do it."
Yeah, bro. Yeah. Nobody's gonna do it like you.
And
bro.
I was like, "No, I don't want to do it."
He's like me, bro.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
he's exactly like me.
Like
no, your personality and everything.
Yeah.
People want to see that. You just do the stuff, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, Papa. Nobody's gonna do it like you. Bro.
Yeah, like I told him when we were thinking about like because he did social media before me. I'm not trying to say that I'm the reason, but I told him I was like, you need to be on social media more, bro. Like, you have the voice, you have the knowledge, like you're gonna crush it, bro. And then it's like and we all have that perception. I'm not, an exception of it. It's like we all have this insecurity of like, nah, I don't want to be on. I was the same way, like, but I realized, like, I got into a business where I have to be outspoken. I have to get used to being in front of people, and being in front of a camera is no different.
See, I'm good one-on-one. Like before this, I'm good.
So what's the difference between that?
I don't know. I think a mental that
that's
so many people could see it and misinterpret what I'm saying. Like when I'm talking to clients, I thrive. That's what I was saying. That's how I switched over because I loved it.
Yeah.
And because I know that it's being real and authentic. And when the cameras come on, I feel like you gotta kind of have to pretend. So what we've been trying to do is just do real raw. But even when you try to do it raw, it's still you're recording it, so you know that you're not. Does that make sense?
You should,
unless you have a hidden camera with me all the time.
You should hire someone that just doesn't.
We've been talking about that,
bro.
Imagine I'm coming up to a showing. It's like a whole film crew. Maybe they like it. I don't know. They get all pressed.
It's usually
they make an offer in the first house.
That'd be actually dope though. See, but that could be that's real.
So let's talk about it. I'm trying to make it happen.
That's real and authentic.
I mean, a day in the life of Tony V a couple years ago would have been insane. Going to the auctions, going to the body shop, going to show houses, meeting with the people, it would have been crazy.
That could kind of be like, because in social media, it's like you got to find what's people. It's been around, like people know that what you do, right? Real estate, okay, but you could be the difference in like what separates you from other realtors that do content. You're the type of person that you just don't do real estate. You're in different things. You own a body shop. You do, and you have somebody. Yeah, you're an entrepreneur. You're a man of many talents, right? So you have somebody follow you around, and you just keeping it real. It's just like whatever your day to day is, and then you just have somebody that knows how to put all of that together to make it make sense.
I think that'd be great.
Editing is like the biggest.
Oh, that's the biggest.
No,
thing,
the editor is the key, bro.
That's the key, bro. Having a fire editor. But ¿sabes qué? Me ayuda sometimes just to, like, I'm like, fuck it, I'll just do a video.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? ¿Sabes qué? A veces you got to take yourself out of who you are because it's hard to do that. Y piénsalo, because I think es la humildad that keeps you like, oh, I don't want to come off like I'm bragging or.
That's another big thing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That sometimes that's what holds me back, right? But think about it like this. And this is what pushes me sometimes. I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to do it. Because how about if you're inspiring somebody?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Nah, man, think about that. How about if you're inspiring somebody?
So I'm going to be honest with you. Right now that we just onboarded a whole bunch of people. I mean, for us, it's a lot of people at one time.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my older agents were like, why didn't you tell them all the stuff that you did? And I'm like, because I feel like I've been living in the past and I don't want to. That's old. That's over. Now we got to do it now, right? So I'm a real person for like actions speak louder than words. So show me the results, right? Don't tell me that you're going to do it because everyone's great at just saying this.
Yeah.
Show me the numbers. Show me what you've done. Like demonstrate it. And I feel like we did have that previously and I don't have it as much now. And so I have some kind of insecurities when I do it. And they were like, why aren't you telling them who you were or what you've done? I'm like, I don't think it's relevant at this point anymore because I'm considering us as a startup. So we're starting brand new and, we got to work all those same things that we did. And now when we get the numbers, which we've been very blessed, God has been amazing.
I'm glad, bro.
Even year over year, we continue to grow. And do good numbers. And even last year, which is a downturn market, everyone was struggling. We did better than last year.
That's awesome, man. You're growing, man.
Consistent is what I want to do because this is in real estate. If you're interested in getting in real estate, if you understand real estate, it's like up and down, up and down. This is what I struggle with a lot of my agents, and it's consistency. You start working, then you get some deals, go down. Yeah. Then the money runs out. Like, oh, let me work,
grind again.
Get the deals, go down. And what I've been trying to do for the last 5 years is just be consistent, right? You don't have to grow a whole bunch more over in volume and a whole bunch more. As long as you're consistent and you're not going down, it's okay, a little dip.
That's misses.
But just do it as consistent as possible because that's the longevity that's going to keep you in this industry. The industry is changing in itself. I don't want to get into all the stuff that's going on with Lasso.
Yeah, man.
But we always have to be consistent and get ready to pivot each different way. Like we pivoted like 5 times from the time I've been in real estate.
I love that word. Pivot.
You have to, right?
Yeah. Business.
I think as we're talking, and the more meetings that I have, social media is going to be a very big pivot for us.
I think that's where it's at.
So we gotta just no tenemos que lanzar, or
tenemos que lanzarlo. I think that's the word right there.
Or
that's why we started this.
Alinearnos con gente que sepa de eso. y pues en confiar en ellos que they're going to be, because we have to, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is the craziest thing. I don't know if you guys have it, but my parents are sending me reels like 4 or 5. I'm like spamming me. I'm like, what the heck? So they're on there, right?
Yeah, man. Everyone,
you know,
man.
my clients I'm like, so there's definitely something here where everyone's living in it right now.
Yeah.
And to go back to the point, we can say whatever we want to say. We can make whatever we want to be. And sometimes you got to fake it till you make it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was really hesitant to say that I'm the #1 minority-owned brokerage because I'm not yet.
Okay.
But I believe it.
There you go.
I know that it's going to transpire.
That's awesome, man.
And I'll tell you guys off camera about this dream that I had. And it felt real. I felt like I was in the future. And that kind of was like, I was in not a dark space, but I was just kind of like, that doubt starts to build up, you know? And you're like, man, I'm not where I wanted to be. I'm not doing the things that I want to do. But then you have these kind of like inspiring moments. And I think God has...
It's a Diosito, bro.
Yeah, man. Because he's blessed me throughout every time. I've always been blessed. And I just met up with one of my old guys. He knows who he is. Twoop, twoop. And he said something he said something, I think it was so inspiring. He said, it's not who wants it. It's who God selects.
Amen, brother.
So think about this. I was very reserved. I didn't want to share my ideas. I didn't want to do anything. But the reality is that you're not me, so you're not going to be able to do it. I can give you the roadmap. I can write it down. You may do your version, but it's not going to be what I'm going to do. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I've been so fearful for everything that happened, you know, within my career. And I was like, no, I got to keep it secret. Now I'm just like, no, I'm going to start saying it because I do believe that that's what it is. It doesn't look that way now, but I'm 100% positive that I am the #1 minority brokerage in the world. So think about that. That's not just here. It's all over the world. Okay. And we are going to effectively help our minority communities. No solo Latinos.
Okay.
Todos los minorities. Just to give you a preface on that dream really quickly, I was on stage and I could not see the people next to me, but I knew who they were. I was like the guy from Remax, which is down there, the guy from Compass, not the guy from Campus. There was somebody else. Keller Williams, like all these big brokerages. But I couldn't see them. They were blurred. Matt knows this story because I told him to him as well. And in the audience, I could see some people. Everyone else is blurred. So these guys are blurred. And I come up my moment and I start talking and people start getting up, clapping. I don't even talk like that, by the way. I'm not that articulate. It was just like, and then they closed the curtains and the guys were like, stop. I was basically saying like, guys, we are the #1 minority-owned brokerage, not like everybody else that's out here. We're really about this, blah, blah, blah. And they closed the curtains, and I'm sweating.
So they
my
stopped
staff comes
you,
they
like
stopped
in your
me
dream.
In my dream. And my staff came and was like, I can't believe I did it. Oh. And that was so inspiring. I woke up at like 2 or 3 in the morning. I woke my wife up. I'm like, no, I tell you. And she's like, okay, tell me tomorrow. I'm like, no, this is real. This is going to happen. Awesome. I'll tell you the dream afterwards.
Okay.
Because I'm not trying to offend anybody. We service everybody, not to say.
I hear you, brother. I hear you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of the reason we'll service anyone, right?
Yeah, correct.
I think a lot of the reason is because we identify with our community. We understand the struggles.
Yeah.
Right. And we understand, like, as professionals, that it's an underserved market, man. You know what I mean? It really is. So I think that's why we try to promote, hey, helping minorities, you know what I mean, the Latino community and other minority communities in this country. But it's not to say, okay, this is the only people we work with.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Te digo, perdóname.
Claro.
When I first had the dream, I shared it with some people, and I think they were taken back, like, what?
Like, who does this guy?
Yeah, who does this
he
guy?
is?
Like, whatever. And I'm like, okay. So then I was like, that was weird. And then I shared with other people, and then I stopped sharing it because I was like, I think people are misinterpreting what I'm saying, especially if you're not a minority.
Yeah,
then
exactly.
you feel offensive, And then,
you feel left out. I mean, I get it.
But even with people that I was telling que somos, and I thought they were going to be like on board, I got not the response that I was thinking. So then I stopped, but then I had another, like, not a dream, but like another, like, no, just say it. Confess it with your mouth because it's going to transpire.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then this video right here, this podcast will be a testament to what I was saying.
I love it, bro.
You get what I'm saying?
I
And
love
all
it.
the other ones I've said it. And the more that I interact with people, the more me comprometo with, I got to figure out how to do that. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not just be like, yeah. Or at least I, live my life attempting it. And that's a good way to live too.
Yeah.
As opposed to not doing anything.
Yeah.
I hear you, bro. Chasing dreams, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally.
Literally.
Literally chasing dreams.
Yeah.
No,
That's what's up, man. Hey, Tony, so what right now, we spoke a little bit about your philosophy, you're growing your team. I mean, how do you? I mean,
My brokerage. We have
your brokerage. Yeah, your brokerage.
Salisbury right now, which is the Eastern Shore.
Okay.
I'm trying to grow that. We have Northern Virginia.
Okay.
We have Maryland. Working on Delaware, West Virginia, and then Florida through reciprocity. We were going to open up Puerto Rico. That was one of the first ones we were going to do.
Okay.
Before the pandemic, but.
But it's just on this one because you had partners in the past. On this one, it's just you, or you got partners on this one too.
It's 100% Tony V. Broker, owner, no partners, no money. That's the other thing too. When you have capital, it's a lot easier to make things transpire. No credit cards, no borrowing of money. Like this is just me, and I'm trying to promote that as much as I can. That's another topic, bro. Yo creo que mucho. Okay, first of all, Montgomery County, where we're at, Montgomery County, Howard County, PG County, like our little area. I don't understand how the affordability is working. Like, what are people doing? Like, how can they make so much money to afford these types of houses? Mm-hmm. We did one recently in Silver Spring, and it was 4 borrowers for like $600,000. How are you doing 800, $1 million here for like a regular Rambler? Like just because it's in a nice area. Unless you're living off credit cards, like who is everybody a doctor? Is everyone like a scientist? Like what? I don't get it, right? I'm like from my interactions. El ingreso no está subiendo suficientemente para las casas.
Yeah.
So how are people doing it? I feel like the more I interact with people, the more I talk to them, a lot of folks are living off credit cards, which is not good or bad, but I'm just saying that's another boom. Like you're basically living outside your means. If you can, try to eliminate as much debt as possible. You can leverage credit cards. There's ways that you can do that.
Yeah.
But a lot of people that I've talked to and the way that it's basically a necessity. You get what I'm saying? And I don't know if you guys ran into it, but the more I look about, how much the pricing are going for here, I'm like, how are people doing this? Like, how are they just paying regular day bills? Or I don't know if you guys experience it. When you're talking about like higher price points.
Yeah, no, I hear you. No, I mean, I was just asking, I can't remember who the other day. I'm like, man, look, I do all right. My wife does all right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, but
you do more than all right because your income level is as a realtor is much more than someone who's kind of fixed or they have a profession.
Yeah, because they have a cap on their
yeah.
Well, I guess my point was kind of leading to that, right? Like I do all right, my wife does all right, but I'm like, man, like we're trying to live within our means. You know what I mean? But then I see other people and I'm like, I know they don't make what we make, and they're on vacation. You know what I mean? They're showing off the new whatever, and I'm like, man. Like the big props, right? Like I'm not hating. I'm trying to figure out what they're doing so I can do it.
Me too. I'm like, wait, how are they? I have so much overhead. I'm like, but you guys are going on freaking trips all the time. Like that doesn't make any sense unless you're doing credit cards.
I don't know how they do it.
I mean, like Tony said, perception, right?
Yeah. No, it's funny. I'm sorry, Tony, cut you off. It's funny. I hope this is relevant. Tony said something. It's like people don't. You said something like. People are they're worried about like I guess how they're perceived about the money they make and things like that. So on Fresh and Fit they were doing something where they did a study or something like this, and it was like they were asking people, okay, you can make $100,000 at this job, but out of everybody else makes $200,000. You're only gonna make $100,000, or you could be the boss at another job, but you only make $50,000.
People want the boss.
The boss. It's so weird.
That's
titles is like such a big deal. Like people live off titles. That's really.
But are you hearing me on that? Like they know they can make more money over there. They're just not. Everybody else is gonna make more money than them, so they don't like that. Even though that's more money than where they would be a boss.
To me, that's such a no-brainer. But I'm bamboozled as to why.
El orgullo, right? El
orgullo, like just to be called to put that in in the bio, I'm a boss.
But you go make more money.
But I only make $50,000.
But you can make more money. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Isn't that what it's about?
Yeah, no. That's what I'm saying.
I can say culturally because I see it in Puerto Rico a lot, right? We're about that floss life. Like
I hear you.
I'm actually participating in it. But it's so interesting because the perception is so important versus the reality. So you may not you could go to the club, drive your nice car, get bottles, look fresh, and then you're living with your mom, but you're okay with that because everyone thinks that you're.
It's weird, man. It's weird
because nobody's going home with you and seeing where you're walking out of every day.
Let's go to your place.
Yeah,
it's weird, man. All right, man. So you were saying, Tony. So what's the? I know you gave us the vision for being the number one brokerage, but like what's like the plans for Vista? Like say in the upcoming market in the next 1 or 2 years. Like you mentioned that Are you saying that you guys are trying to expand in those areas like Salisbury, or you're already there?
No, I have an office in Salisbury.
Oh, wow.
I have an office in Northern Virginia and North Bethesda. But we're looking at other markets. So Delaware, because it's right there and there's a lot of new construction. I see that as an emerging market. There's also a lot of folks down there.
What about Pennsylvania?
Pennsylvania, funny enough, we're looking at it because it's so close to Hagerstown. It's just right there in West Virginia. And affordability. So what we look at, when I say we, I'm talking about myself, but I try to educate my agents. What I look for is affordability, right? So if you're pre-qualified for $350, ¿qué puedes comprar acá abajo?
Condominio, papá.
Condo, imagínate.
Yeah.
If you look at other, radiuses, what can you do? So I try to give them an opportunity to say, hey, look, I know it's a little further out, but now you become a homeowner, you take all those advantages, and then you could either sell it and bring that capital back, right? If you want to. But most of them end up staying over there. But let's look at other areas where the affordability matches. Then that's why we went to the Eastern Shore. Well, first of all, because I couldn't go to Puerto Rico as much anymore because of the pandemic, and I wanted to be at,
Por la playa.
Por la playa. And then I started seeing that there was like a lot of Latinos, and I was like, what? And no one was representing them. Not very many. So I was like, okay, I can have my beach house here and I can also service the community, which is great. So that's what we started doing. Then we opened up an office. Then one of my agents moved her to Delaware, and it just started working out. And same thing, everywhere we look at is where the potential service could be, right? So I'm based out of North Bethesda. I've always been there, but I don't really do much in North Bethesda. Maybe 20906, but nothing really like that, like we used to. And I'm looking at other areas. So it's basically what's affordable and the affordability for our clients, where you can get value for your money. That's the biggest thing that I talked to. I was just out yesterday in the Hagerstown area showing these clients, and I said, look, down there we were looking at, you needed $90,000, right, for a down payment. Here you're looking at $45,000, and now here you have land, a garage. Which is a drive. I'm not going to say that it's not, but think about the investment opportunity that you can have here. There's a new stadium coming, and I just kind of give them that option before we pull the trigger. Now, ultimately, if they want to stay down here, that's on them. And it's still going to go up. But I'm saying that there is options, so let's explore it, and that's where we look at for different offices. We want to see kind of like not in the hub, but a little bit further out, so that people that can afford and then get in there. Then once you start making money with equity and just have a house, you're going to be able to now dictate where you want to go in the future. But a lot of folks want the dream house at the first.
So you're targeting affordability.
Affordability is what we're targeting.
That makes sense, man. Yeah, with the folks, I tell them, you ever played Monopoly?
Yeah.
You're like, you don't start with the big red ones.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? You got to build up to that.
Most people in our community, that's what they're chasing, the affordability. Ellos todos quieren.
Pero no se quieren salir. Pero no se quieren salir de acá.
That's the problema. But you have to educate them softly. Well, the first time, the easiest way is, okay, let's do it. Let's put the offers. And then they start getting more aggressive with their offers. But you got to go through it, right? And then it's like, man, we don't win. We really want something. I was like, well, let's expand our surge. I was looking at Oklahoma because Texas was a huge hub. Everyone's coming in there, and they kind of made affordability insane. And Oklahoma was right there. So I started noticing a trend of people that worked in Texas but were living in Oklahoma. So I was like, okay, let me get my license in Oklahoma. But it didn't work out, and I can't be at too many places. So my wife's like, chill
poco a poco.
Let's do what we have right here, and then we start expanding, to those different markets. Florida was another one that we are going to do. We're working on that, but I feel like before the pandemic, it was great, and now it's like very saturated. Everyone's an agent. There's a lot of, but there's still areas of affordability. Taxes are crazy though. Yeah, you have a lot of clients that move in.
I don't really do a lot of Florida.
No, Florida's.
Yeah, I've been down there. You know what I mean?
It's nice. It's nice. I like it. Let me tell you this. Back in the day, I had, como yo estaba comentando originalmente, muchos de mis clientes eran 95%, vamos a poner, salvadoreños.
Salvadoreños, en esta área acá, ¿verdad? En el DMV,
Y venían y compraban una casa y vivían como 10, 18. Una vez vine y en el baño, I was like, ¿puedo usar el baño? En la bañera había una almohada.
Somebody was sleeping there.
That was someo's room. They were renting that out.
Crazy,
right?
Bro. 600.
And I was like, what? Y vengo y le digo, mira, don José, y había una... sí, desde las 9 hasta las 9 está rentado, nadie puede usar el baño. I'm like, what the heck? But at the time, I thought it was odd. Fast forward a couple of years, these same clients now, we're selling the house. pero tenían sus guaguas, o ¿cómo se dicen? Trocas.
Una troca,
Sus fincas y todo, y se mudaron de regreso. Tuve varios clientes así, so they went back to El Salvador. But they set themselves up. They struggled, you know, for a couple, 3, 4, 5 years. Mm-hmm. And I started seeing the pattern. They didn't know each other. They were all doing the same thing. And I was like, yo, these guys, because they were selling at the height of the market right before the crash. And I was like, dang, man, these guys really did. They struggled a little bit.
Cashed out.
They cashed out, and they go over there. Then come back like 2015. That was like around 2005, 2006. 2015, Don Tony, I'm like, hello. And I'll tell you about Twoop, where that comes from too.
That's what I was going to ask you when you left the show.
I'm like, Twoop, ¿qué pasó ahí? Alarmas, ¿cómo estás? I'm like, bien, bien. He's like, mira, me voy a regresar. And I had this wave of, not all, but a lot of these
coming back.
And I was like, what is going on? These guys were set up. Like, I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
And the more I talked to them, like, es que las maras me están poniendo reyes. All these crazy stories, bro. Unas historias, pero súper tristes.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, y que no podían vivir. Porque cuando conocían que tenían dinero.
Oh, yeah. Olvídate, papá.
So I'm like, all right, cool. So we started helping them. For me, it was great because I had consistent business from these folks. And now I see these guys like, all right, nos vamos.
They're back out. Bueno, Bukele's got it cleaned up.
Yeah, he cleaned that thing up. So now, like, they're doing some really great inversiones, and like, you can see how it's going. But it's so interesting how, like, you know, the legacy clients. You never know that one person that you can help, how many deals, you know, you can help.
Tony, you know I'm going to have to steal that from you, right?
No, it's fine.
Legacy clients.
Legacy
I
clients.
like
That's what
that.
we
That's
call
fire, bro.
Yeah,
that's what we call it when
fire.
it's like, you know, and you want everybody to be a legacy client, right? So if you provide the correct value, they're going to see, like, I want to go back to them, because what we're trying to promote right now is people not just have one property. Because if you think about cómo este país estaba construido y cómo la gente con dinero en este país
hizo su dinero,
is real estate, and they pass it on to generation. Like, this would be, I think, our first generation where we're passing on houses to our family. Like, what?
Y viene algo fuerte, man. Yeah. Like, the statistics are on our side. So
for sure.
Like, you know what I mean?
We're the number one minority.
Yeah. El mercado de nosotros está fuerte, man.
Pero ponte a pensar, can you imagine qué diferente hubiera sido tu vida if your parents would have got an inheritance of real estate, and then now this would have passed on to you? Like, what?
Yeah.
It's different. That's the generational wealth that they keep on talking about.
Yeah.
And that's what we got to continue to promote, because that's how that's how they did it. Love it, man. I can get canceled. I don't care. This is the reality. There is definitely an undertone, okay? They don't want this to happen.
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
I see it.
Yeah.
That's why that affordability, okay, we were like this before, right? Aquí están los rentadores, aquí están los propietarios. Era así. And now it's like this. Mm-hmm. So it's being so hard to cross over. Why? It's very intentional, because they're starting to see, not just us, everyone getting wealth. I mean, you guys can say I'm a conspiracy theory, but no. It's very evident. No. There's an undertone of it. And all these things that are passing, like all these Wall Street companies that are buying up cash.
BlackRock is
BlackRock is like the biggest one that you hear on the news. Yeah. There's so many.
Oh, yeah. The bunch of little ones.
We just got an offer right now on one of our properties.
Oh, yeah?
And I'm like, what the heck? How are they doing that? Because they want everyone to be renters.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And people are not seeing it. So I try to advocate to our clients that, listen, buy something. If you have the opportunity, buy something, pero conviértete por propietario.
Yeah. Algo. Hágase de algo. Man.
Algo.
Yeah.
Okay, because a lot of the folks that we have, they're cash heavy, you know? Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, just put 20%, do it as an investment, but you're now a homeowner. And you can stay here where you want to stay.
Yeah.
But buy something over there, let's rent it out, let's start generating it, let it pay itself down, and you have something now that's yours.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then with that, then you can go. But you got to change their train of thought. We got to help them out, because it's so easy in their mind to go rent. But it's the same process.
Yeah,
es literal lo mismo.
I feel like it's harder.
Van a ver tus ingresos, van a ver tu crédito. I mean, hello, es lo mismo.
Yo creo que para rentar está más difícil porque
ahorita sí se está poniendo así.
Porque exigen cierto crédito y para comprar. Y para comprar, tú sabes, hay flexibilidad, ¿me entiendes? Pero para rentar te dicen, no, tiene que ser 700 o whatever, you know what I mean? So,
y lo logran. They'll find somebody like, mira, ponme un nombre. Pero para comprar la casa no pueden, ¿no? Por eso we have to advocate, tenemos que educar a nuestros clientes. And not everybody, ¿cómo te puedo decir?
That's why we got the People's Podcast.
Of course.
¿Cómo te puedo decir? No todos, habla con varias gente, porque no todos son iguales. Eso es lo que, típicamente hablan con uno, o después el primo, el tío le dice, mire que yo compré mi casa. I talk about this all the time. I'm like, ¿cuándo compró su casa el tío? Oh, no, él no compró. y le vas a coger el consejo de él.
Yeah.
I don't say it like that.
I know, I get it though.
Or like, no, él compró
Eso pasa mucho en
2003.
nuestra
I'm
comunidad,
like,
¿me entiendes? Hay gente que está animada, yo hablo con ellos, están animados, 2 weeks later, a week later, hey, you know what's going on? No, mire, lo pensé, que no sé qué. That's just someone got in their ear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No, okay. I saw on TikTok the interest rates are too high. Like, you know what I mean? So
Stay off the internet.
well, they're funny because a lot of times, yo creo que hay también culturalmente, como te digo, trabajo mucha gente con Salvador, no en Salvador, pero Centroamérica en sí. Ellos piensan que no lo pueden hacer, pero no tienen una razón por qué. So, tú le hablas, pero ¿por qué? No lo han intentado, pero no puedo.
they disqualify themselves.
They're quick
They
to
disqualify. And I'm like,
we talked about that the last show.
Let's just try.
Yeah.
And at least if you're not, we'll know what you need to do to get there.
Do it.
But eventually get there. But
Pero
why are you saying no?
Pero ¿sabes qué pasa, Tony? ¿Será que antes le cobraban a la gente? Porque yo veo que es como que tienen un miedo que les vas a cobrar.
Yeah.
O que...
Es cultural. I think que viene ya de
nuestros países.
Think about it. They've had bad. I attribute it to they've had a bad experience in the past.
Or they've heard about a bad experience.
Like my parents, they were a victim of
predatory lending.
Yeah, predatory lending. When in those times they didn't have no income. Just tell me how much you're making, and they got an agent just put them in the house, right? Yeah. And they got done real dirty. So after that experience, ellos quedaron traumados, ¿verdad? There's a wall of security where it's like
it's not for us.
They're even afraid to buy things on the internet because me van a robar la información.
Well, that's true.
So all these
some
things,
of it comes from a true place.
Right, it comes from a good place, but the way it all comes down to, it's funny enough, Tony, that's the same approach I use with the Latino people that I speak to. It's like I tell them, like, look, it's just to find out, give you an idea of just like what condition you're in and see what we can do for you, right? Mm-hmm. Don't be so quick to disqualify yourself. I'm like, have you talked to a professional? Have you, like, and sometimes they say, yeah. I'm like, okay, but sometimes it's good to get more than one opinion. Yeah. Because that person might not tell you the same thing that the other person's going to tell.
Or might not explain it.
Exactly.
The other thing that we have to, because we're all in the same, so I want to tell you guys the same thing, is plant the seed, like, it can be a process.
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah. I know that we watch everything and everything's instant. We want it right now. Mm-hmm. Don't get discouraged. Let's just work towards it. But it can be a process because I think we're experiencing ahorita con muchos clientes. Se está calentando y todo. Okay, quiero. No. Like, hold on. Let's talk about it. And this is the process. You have to do this. You have to do that. Mm-hmm. I don't care. I'll go show you the house. But there's nothing that we're going to be able to do by seeing the house if you're not ready to do it. Mm-hmm. So understand it's a process because I feel like a lot of them are going around to hear what they want to hear. Mm-hmm. But if you don't close, then what's the point? Yeah. I don't understand why lenders send the thing. I don't understand why they put they go through the motions when you know it's not going to transpire. No one wins there.
Yeah.
Everyone loses. Everybody loses. The seller loses. You lose because you look bad. The lender loses.
Yeah.
Like, what is the intent to do that? Or, I was on the radio before, but 0%, all this nonsense. I get it. You're going to get a lot of calls, but what is the reality of the intent?
Yeah.
Are you trying just to get busy phone calls? Like, I don't understand. Like, I want to help people buy a house.
I fell into that. I tell them all the time. I fell into that, Tony. I went on the radio. I told people, mire, compre casa sin dinero. ¿Sabe quién me llamó? Gente sin dinero. You know what I mean?
Que todos le dijeron que no. And he's like, oh, con este lo voy a poder.
Yeah, porque yo le dije que sin dinero. Pues,
but so we changed our thing. We were in La Mera. And the first time, oh my God, we got inundated. Then I realized, like, no, let's be more. A long time when I was doing mortgages, right? Mm-hmm. I would call because me tenían una lista, tenía que llamar a clientes antiguos. So I'm like, hola, aquí les hago a Tony, this and that. I just keep on doing it. They're like, ¿quién? Who? Whatever. So, if you close a deal and then 3 years later they come to do a refinance, I'd have to call them because maybe the rates were better and stuff like that. So I'm like, hey, make listen to that. And I knew these people, but they wouldn't remember me. It would take like a lot. So I'm like, no, remember, el boricua, sí, ajá, que trabaja con, sí, ¿cómo lo puedo asistir? I was like, I got to do something better, man, because this is getting frustrating. I know these guys, they don't remember. I still have them in my phone, like recorded. They don't have a new phone or whatever. So I was like, now when I start meeting people, I'm going to say, it's me, Tony V. Doot, doot. Mm-hmm. And I make the noise and a high five.
Okay.
So I'm like, it's me, Tony V. Okay. Doot, doot, doot.
So it's like your brand. It's like your signature.
And I kept on saying it throughout the whole transaction. I call him 2 years later. Hello, hello, ¿qué le saludo Tony? Hey, come on. Instant. It was
I like that, bro.
No
Real
problem.
smart.
No
That's,
problem.
that's genius. That's
Yeah, it's
genius
real
marketing,
smart, bro.
Then I
Yeah.
started doing it everywhere. I'm like, any agent that I meet, any networking thing, I'm gonna start doing it. And it caught on.
Yeah.
And then people were like, yeah, do it. No. Now I'm like, oh my gosh.
They're like,
Sometimes I forget. And like,
they're like,
yeah,
Tony, do the thing, Tony.
Yeah. I went to a showing yesterday because I'm back out there. I'm trying to, the market is a little challenging. So I'm like, ¿y no va a hacer el sonido? I'm like, oh, yeah. But I'm like, now people are like, same with the pictures of closing. I personally don't want to do those anymore. Yeah. And the client's like, can we do the...
Yeah, hagamos el foto.
We're not doing them all, but if they request it, we're doing it.
Okay. He's al contrario.
Yeah.
I'm the one requesting, hey, take a photo.
No, I'm like, no, they say, you want to do it? Okay.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that don't, so that's good. But some people, if they've been following you on social,
Yeah.
they want to have like that, recognition.
That's fine. Maybe that's what. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, man.
We're at an hour and a half, so let's wrap it up.
Yeah,
that
brother.
quick?
Time flies, bro.
Time
We're having
flies.
fun,
Time
man.
flies. All right. Well, that's been today's episode, guys. I want to say thank you to Tony for coming through.
It's me, Tony V. My Vista Properties Group is our website. If you're looking to buy, sell, quieren comprar o vender, háblenos. Obviamente, si quieres meterte en este negocio y quiere hacerlo correctamente también, pues,
There you go.
podemos platicar. We have Vista Blue that just came out para inversionistas, dedicado solo para inversionistas.
Oh, wow.
Y cómo pueden hacer dinero, que es otro como parte de nuestro negocio. Pero it's me, Tony V. Toot, toot.
Hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for tuning in, and let us know down in the comments what was your favorite part. And don't forget to leave a comment and subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening to. We will catch you guys in the next episode.
Catch you in the next one.